On this episode of Inside the Mavs, my exclusive conversation with Mavericks center Daniel Gafford ahead of Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals as the Mavericks look for a commanding 3-0 lead. The mentality he and his team are approaching this massive game with and for the rest of the series. This is Inside the Mavs. Welcome to Inside the Mavs, presented by Aura. I'm your host, Kevin Gray, Mavericks pre- and post-game host on the Dallas Mavericks Radio Network. Appreciate you joining me here for Inside the Mavs, exclusively on YouTube here on Kevin Gray Sports. You can download and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast for free. Give it a 5-star rating and write a review for it while you're there. Make sure you like and comment on the video. Let me know how you're feeling about the Mavericks going forward for the rest of the Western Conference Finals. And you can follow me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports. Coming up, my exclusive conversation with Mavericks center Daniel Gafford ahead of Game 3 as he provides me the mentality that he and his fellow big man Dereck Lively are approaching this series with as they look for a commanding 3-0 lead. And for the Dallas Mavericks, a chance to come home for Games 3 and 4 after winning the first 2 games on the road in Minnesota to get up 2-0 in this best-of-7 series. A team in the Mavericks that has won 6 games on the road, 4 straight games in the road this postseason after winning the first 2 games against Minnesota. A team that's been great away from the American Airlines Center now has a chance in front of this home crowd to put a stranglehold on this series and be just 1 win away from reaching the NBA Finals for the first time since 2011. Of course, the Mavericks back in the Western Conference Finals for the second time in the last 3 years have been able to get incredible shot making from Luka Doncic, who, of course, hit the game-winning 3 with 3 seconds left over Rudy Gobert to give the Mavericks this 2-0 series lead. And now with a huge opportunity to be able to match what Boston has already done already, which take a 3-0 lead in their best-of-7 series and really put the pressure on Minnesota. Minnesota, of course, coming off in an emotionally draining series after taking out the reigning NBA champion Denver Nuggets, are ready for a heavyweight fight with the Mavericks to try and climb themselves back into this series. And for the Mavericks, they cannot take the approach of being lackadaisical in Game 3, knowing that they've got a 2-0 lead in this series. They have to come out in attack mode as well. And we saw that particularly from the Mavericks centers in Game 2, where Dereck Lively and Daniel Gafford combined for 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks, all 5 blocks coming from Daniel Gafford. And it's the physicality at which this Mavericks team has played with throughout this postseason that has them in this position right now. We saw it during the second half of the year where they became the best defense in the league. And after the acquisitions of P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford remade their identity to give themselves the kind of defensive, physical, tough presence that has carried them in this postseason. And so far has got them to the point where they are halfway to making it to the NBA Finals. And if they are able to continue that same kind of physical mentality and presence, this team will put themselves in that position going forward for the rest of the postseason. It's been impressive to watch this team embrace the defensive side of the ball and, more importantly, continue to have the vertical game on the offensive end when you're working with lob threats like Lively and Gafford themselves, who can finish strong at the rim and really put pressure on opposing defenses. Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Jaden Hardy, which we've seen so far in this series, and others working the pick and roll to perfection for guys to be able to finish at the rim. And when they're not finishing at the rim, they're also finishing in transition. You saw Daniel Gafford's great block on Mike Conley on one end that led to an acrobatic layup on the other end. That is the kind of winning plays that we have seen so far from Gafford in this series and really throughout the course of his time with the Dallas Mavericks. A young man at 25 years of age who finds himself in a terrific position to continue to help this team moving forward. I had a chance to sit down with Daniel Gafford to talk with him about Game 3 and this series so far, and what he's been able to do to achieve success so far in this series. Before we get there, let's hear from today's sponsor of our video and our podcast in Aura. And then on the other side of that, my exclusive conversation with Mavericks center Daniel Gafford. But let's hear from Aura first. Today's video is brought to you by Aura. Do a Google search on your name and email address to see how much information comes up about you. I was devastated by the amount of information that I could be seeing searching my name and profile, and I knew then I needed to be protected for not just myself, but also for my family. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, your relatives, it's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use this information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats that I can't see. It's really easy to set up, so I don't have to download several different apps to get things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more. I get everything at one affordable price. You may already have one of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on, doing the hard work to protect me and my family so I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to aura.com/Kevin Gray to start your 2-week free trial. Please see the link in the description. Back here on Inside the Mavs, thank you for hanging out with us to that spot, and thank you to today's sponsor of our video and our podcast in Aura. My exclusive conversation with Mavericks center Daniel Gafford coming up here in just a moment, just to give you more perspective on how Dereck Lively and Gafford were effective in Game 2. They went a combined 14 of 16 from the field for those 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Their interior presence has been a game changer for this Mavericks team, and the tandem that they've become has become a physical one that has to deal with a big front court, of course, of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Gafford and what he told me about his approach to this series, the shot that Luka Doncic hit in Game 2, and the mentality that he and Dereck Lively give each other to be able to perform at the level that they have been, to be able to really be effective so far in this series. My exclusive conversation with Mavericks center Daniel Gafford. Kevin Gray, Mavericks Radio with Mavericks center Daniel Gafford ahead of Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals. Gaff, good to see you, obviously.
Yes, sir.
Back at home, taking a 2-0 series lead. What's the confidence and mentality of this team after taking 2 games on the road that you want to carry into Game 3 here?
I would say the confidence is high. Energy is great this morning around shoot-arounds. I would say from just like all the stuff that I've heard in the locker room before, I think it's been a minute since they've been in this position, in all honesty. So, we're just taking it one day at a time, and I would say business per usual. Just, having just like I would say that business outlook on it. The job's not finished at the end of the day. We still got, a good amount of games in this series. This team is not going to come in and just lay down and just let us beat up on them. So at the end of the day, we just have to come out and just have the mindset just come out intense, match their physicality and match their energy.
What's the conversation like, knowing that you're up 2-0, but still you're going to be facing a desperate Timberwolves team trying to get back into these series? How you guys approach that, knowing what kind of mentality they're going to be coming into Game 3 with?
We just have to come in locked in. The conversation is just, be ready for anything. They, like you said, they're going to come in and play desperate. They're going to come in. They're going to try to throw the first punch. We have to be ready for that. We have to react the right way, stay together as a team, and if there's any type of obstacle or adversity that gets in our way, we have to stay locked in as a unit to be able to get over that, in all honesty, because, Minnesota, they're a good team. They're going to come out. They're not going to just, like I said, lay down and just let us just walk past them. They're going to try to give us their best basketball tonight for sure.
You and Lively combined for 30, 14, and 5 blocks in Game 2. The production and the focus that the both of you are bringing, what's the conversation like between the two of you two approaching this big front line that the Timberwolves bring to allow you guys to be effective as you do so far?
We just tell each other to go out there and be ourselves at the end of the day. Go out there and do the job that we are pretty much brought here to do, and that's go out, play defense, be the anchors, block shots, finish anything around the rim, and just make sure we get the right guys downhill, or just make sure we make the right decisions out of the pocket. And at the end of the day, just, setting the tone physically. Rudy, Cat, Nas, all their bigs are coming in and they're trying to make sure that You know, they throw us on the ground. They make sure that we know that their presence is known. At the end of the day, we got to do the same thing, I would say, when it comes with both of us. You know, we kind of like a 1-2 punch. So he tells me to go in, do my thing, be a monster. And when he comes in, I tell him the same thing.
Before we look at game 3 once again, take me back to the moment when he hits that shot over Rudy Gobert. What's going through your mind as you're watching him get himself set up to be able to take that shot and ultimately get it there?
I mean, it's per usual, because I mean, I've been in that position before, having to guard him on an ISO. You know, so it's just like you just really just have to pray that he misses the shot. But at the end of the day, I'm glad he made it. You know.
Yeah. And for you guys now going into this game, when you look at what Anthony Edwards is going to try to bring Carl-Anthony Towns as the primary scorers for the team, how do you go about trying to contain them, knowing what's on the line going into this game?
I mean, we just have to stick to our principles and just do the things that we were doing to help us, that helped us succeed in the first two. You know, we were trying to make them take the shots that we wanted them to take. We were just trying to really just give as much pressure as we possibly could on the defensive end to just help kind of like fuel us offensively. You know, first game we didn't shoot the ball well, but we got stops. You know, second game we shot the ball well, and we kind of like made a couple of mistakes when it came to just like some of the rotations and stuff. Nas had hit 7 threes. You know, so we just had to kind of like pay attention to detail and just like focus in on those areas when it came to trying to keep guys from, you know, getting hot. You know, we kept the main guy from getting hot, so now we got to keep everybody from getting hot at the end of the day. But like I said, I mean, it's easier said than done. But like I said, if we stick to our principles and just stick to our defensive schemes, man, I mean, I feel like the sky's the limit for us.
Can you walk me through Kyrie Irving's leadership on this team? The veteran guy, he's been there, won a championship, and how he's brought a calming presence to you guys and what that means for you guys as you've gone through the postseason so far.
I mean, he uses his experiences as examples. You know, just being in this league for so long with the age that he is, he's seen it all. You know, he's been through it all. He's been to the finals. He's been to the Western Conference Finals. He's been to the second round, first round, so far and so forth. You name it. At the end of the day, and he just, like I said, he just uses his experiences as an example to really just kind of like put it in perspective of just like, yeah, we're young. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff that, you know, I would say is said about us. There's a lot of doubt. It's a lot of, you know, things I would say that's putting us in a position to where it's like a lot of people label us as an underdog. But in all honesty, I feel like, you know, we one of the best teams out there to be able to just kind of like withstand every punch, withstand every ounce of adversity, and so on and so forth. And Kyrie, he's like the head of the snake when it comes to that because, you know, like I said, he's been through it, and he always just find ways to just kind of like reel everybody back in, bring everybody back in, you know, and and it's not just like necessarily just leading by example. He's teaching guys to be leaders, you know, so it's just like we're taking like baby steps into just like being the team that we want to be, in the aspect of everybody on the team just like leading each other, being there for each other, pushing each other, and just making that extra step to just, you know, be great, in all honesty.
Last couple for you. What's it going to be like playing in front of this home crowd in a Western Conference final to be able to give this crowd something to cheer for, knowing how much they've supported you guys this year?
Well, knowing it's going to be my first time playing at home in a Western Conference Finals game in my career, in all honesty, I can't wait for it. You know, I know the energy's going to be through the roof. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of people from here, everywhere. I'm probably going to hear, you know, a lot of people from Arkansas, a lot of Woo Pigs. So I'm just excited at the end of the day, and I just can't wait for it. You know, I'm going to embrace it. I'm just going to have fun playing the game because, you know, from the first game to the second game, and all honesty, from when the series, from just like the playoffs started in general, I just kind of feel like that I've just like been slowly taking steps to just kind of, you know, be able to get into just like that atmosphere of just playoff basketball. And I'm just now like getting the feel and just the vibe of just like coming out and just being ready. So I'm going to try to, you know, mimic the game from last game and just be able to come out and just be better than the last game before and just come out and dominate tonight, in all honesty.
That is Mavericks center Daniel Gafford ahead of game 3 between the Mavericks and the Timberwolves. Daniel, I appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate it. And again, thanks to Daniel Gafford for joining me here on Inside the Mavs. As you can hear, he is ready for the rest of this series, a fight that this series will be starting in game 3, and what the Mavericks have got to do to find a way to get themselves in position to be able to hopefully clinch this by the time we get to game number 4 in a couple of days. But it starts with handling business in game 3, coming out with a desperate approach to be able to take it to a Timberwolves team that will emotionally try to get themselves going in game 3, but more importantly, sustain that emotional momentum and be able to fight throughout the course of the series to try to get themselves back in the Western Conference Finals. But if the Mavericks approach this game and the rest of this series the way that they did the first 2 games in Minnesota, they have a terrific shot of being able to get back to the Western Conference, get back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2011. But that approach and mentality that you heard Daniel Gafford talk about, that's where it starts and ends for the Mavericks, led by their superstars and Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Their leadership guiding this team moving forward will determine how the rest of this series will go. Again, thanks to Daniel Gafford for joining me here on Inside the Mavs as he gets you ready for games 3 and the rest of this series moving forward for your Dallas Mavericks. That'll do it for this episode, this quick mini-sode, if you will, of Inside the Mavs, exclusively here on YouTube. Make sure you download and subscribe to the Inside the Mavs podcast, wherever you get your podcast for free. Game recaps, game previews, all the in-depth analysis and coverage and interviews that you're looking for when it comes to your Mavericks. We've got it right here on Inside the Mavs. My name is Kevin Gray, Mavericks pre- and post-game host on the Dallas Mavericks Radio Network. You can follow me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports, and make sure you look out for me for every PM post-game show on the Dallas Mavericks Radio Network. This has been Inside the Mavs, presented by Aura.